And we're live.
Yeah.
So it's good to be back as well on Facebook because we're playing as well sometimes with Instagram. So you guys are more than welcome to follow us there as well. I'm gonna let you introduce the topic.
So I don't know if anyone else has this, but sometimes you'll look at like your week or you'll look at certain situations and you'll think, okay, so was that my ego or what was actually really going on? So sometimes we have reactions to things that are very much about our ego. And so that's what I thought it'd be worth talking about today. It's a long weekend, a lot more conversations and socializations and people and stuff. And yeah, to be able to catch yourself, when your ego is in play, because it doesn't actually serve you, when you're coming from a place of ego.
Sometimes it does. If
Yeah.
it's in the right direction, so yes.
I suppose it also just depends on this, yeah, as you say, the circumstances, situation, and stuff like that. Yeah. So the first one is about, are you hurting other people? So your thoughts are creating an outcome. So what is it when you are reacting to something? If it's a bad outcome and it's hurting somebody else, is it really worth saying or doing whatever it is you're going to say or do?
I think the answer is never. Because
Exactly.
eventually it will backfire you, so why? So as well, I don't believe in this.
Yeah, often, you're angry, you're frustrated, you're irritated, maybe you didn't get enough sleep, maybe you're worried about money, whatever the case is, and then that comes out and it's hurtful to somebody else, and there's no place for that. The next one is about that audio tape, that it's in like an invisible audio tape that replays in your mind, So it's that thing about, I think one of the things is a self-talk, and it's that kind of, it's that audio that you don't even know half the time that it's playing, and then every now and then you catch yourself. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's like a mantra that you repeat in your head and you're telling yourself a story that you really want to believe in.
Exactly.
How many
Exactly.
times is actually happening that you find yourself that you actually telling yourself a certain story in your head and it's just because of an ego. And you
And
actually
you'll,
convincing yourself.
yep. And you'll know because it doesn't leave you feeling very nice. I think that's always a good gauging. If something doesn't sit with you and afterwards you're sitting and thinking about it, I think that's a pretty good gauging. That's, maybe.
Yeah.
I love this next one because I think you and I have spoken about this a lot, and I'm absolutely, when it comes to feedback, I take feedback well. Whereas I think if you don't take feedback well, so if you're not okay with somebody saying to you, I don't know, could you speak louder, or so you've asked them for something, you've asked them about, so what do you think of my videos, and they say, yeah, no, I like them, I just don't like the fact that you do them in the day and that I can't really hear you, or whatever the case is. I'm giving you a bad example because I can't think of a good example, but any kind of feedback is growth as opposed to criticism.
Yes. And I think that's a thing that we need to separate. There is criticism that someone just come and just put it out there and it's not living like even right or wrong, right? They just put it there and sometimes not in a nice way versus like if you actually get a constructive feedback. Okay. Those are two different things. And if you and that's the one thing you need to learn to receive a constructive feedback. And I think it's also for both sides. It's for the one side to learn to accept it and see it as a growth, but it's also for the other side to learn how to say it. Okay, how to say that it won't sound like you're criticizing them, but you're actually trying to help them grow. Because if I take the examples you were saying, I was like, oh my God, your videos are too loud. Seriously. And I'll come like this, it's like I'm criticizing it. But if I'll come and say, listen, I've been watching your videos and I want to say like you've got so much like quality content over there, but it's really hard to listen because it's too loud. Something in the audio is not working. Like maybe you should check it out. There's a two ways to say it. And this is also the part of where the ego comes for both sides, right? You also can say it not in a nice way because you may be jealous and you maybe want things to be differently or something like that. So that's like the way I see it.
I think there's also a difference between, and I like, this is for me is a big thing. If I say to you, what do you think of my blue top? And you say to me, yeah, no, I don't like it. That's cool, right? Because I've asked you, so I'm putting myself out there. So you've got the right to say yes or no. Whereas if I don't ask you, if I don't say to you, what do you think? And then I see you and you say, oh, don't like that top. For me, that's a thing. I'm like, why? Because that goes back to like a hurtful outcome. Like, why would you say something to somebody that has no point if they're not asking you? Because what is your intention with that?
Yes and no, but I guess it's also in both ways. Again, it's the same thing. It's on how you say things. It's like even if you ask me the question or not, I can say, listen, I hope you don't mind, but I think you need to wear a different color because this one makes you look more pale, or at least like put some blush on it so you look, it's all about the different way of you saying things. So even if you didn't ask, I can say like, listen, I hope you don't mind, but can I say something about the top you're wearing? And that's a way to do it differently.
Yeah, I think you and I can agree to disagree on that one. But yes, that's a beautiful thing about this. We all have our opinions, and that is constructive feedback. Exactly. The other one is, so I had a situation recently, actually, with this week, and where I felt that there was a bit of a disconnect with somebody that I work with. And so what I did is, and I will always do this, I will pick up the phone and I will say, hey, don't know what's going on. I feel like there's a bit of a vibe. What can I do to mend it? How's everything going? And I will immediately do that if the person means anything to me. And I don't mean that in a horrible way, but if I don't value the connection or the friendship, I'm really not going to be too bothered about it. Yeah. So for me, that's also about taking your ego out, about being able to apologize, admitting that you're wrong, even if you weren't necessarily wrong. If you're trying to always be right, but yet there's a bit of disconnect, that's an ego.
Yeah, always also be accountable. And like, you never know. I always say like to people, if someone tells you got hurt, first start with an apology. It doesn't matter if you were right or wrong. Let the ego aside. Because you never know if you've done something that really touches a sensitive spot at that specific person and you actually trigger something else. So you never really know this. So if someone tells you he got hurt, don't be afraid to say, I'm sorry, and then explain yourself,
Exactly.
Always let the ego like, oh my God, I'm never wrong. Me, I'm wrong. No, never. And all of this stuff. And why? We can be wrong. We don't know everything.
Exactly. And I think just to tie the last one with that for me is to never, and I've actually just been having a chat now with someone else who's doing the coaching course with me. And we were talking about how, who we surround ourselves with and how important it is, and about how important it is not to put other people down, because putting other people down is just, there is no place, there is no need for that. So those are the tips. Those are the tips around, like, if you can feel that something, if you're getting that like little thing going on, I don't know how else to explain it, but that little thing going on, maybe just check with yourself, because very often it's not other people. It's all to do with you. And how can you reframe something that your experience of it is better?
I think most of the time it's us and not no one else. Because eventually it's our decision how to react to certain situations, to certain type of wording. So you just need to tell yourself, why am I reacting like this? Is it my ego? Or am I really got hurt? Or am I really believing in this? Or it's like, try to understand before. And there's a reason why, I remember as a kid, my grandma used to say, count till 10 before you speak. And you do. So that's part of it. Count till 10 before you say.
Well, even if you have to take it to 100.
You do go with us. Count as much as you need to.
Exactly.
Think before you actually just do, because once you put the words out there, it's hard to take them back.
Absolutely. Yep. Have a good long weekend.
Yes, enjoy, everyone. See you next week. And don't forget to follow us on Instagram. Bye.